How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC 322, Della Maddalena vs. Makhachev on November 15th, 2025. Timestamps in the comments below. Let's get right into it with the first fight of 14. We start with Viachslav Borschev versus Matheus Camilo. I'm going to pick Matheus Camilo over Viachslav, not super confidently though. This is a super short notice addition to this card, which we've seen quite a few times in recent events. Just they add a fight literally like a week out. They did that with 321 with Kline Salkilled versus Nasrat. I think that the grappling again is going to play a huge factor in a Viachslav Borschev fight. It seems like we can always, in between fights, be like, dude, the only thing he can be working on is his grappling, but it literally is a weak point every single time he's in there, and literally it doesn't matter who he's fighting, he always gets out-grappled. His durability is questionable. Speaking of Viachslav, he's super technical, and he's really, solid when it comes to his technique of, kickboxing. He's got really good combinations when he's able to get going, but it's very rare air that he looks that crazy good anymore. When was the last time he won a fight? It wasn't Meerschaert, was it? That seems too long ago. It was James Yontop, and that was actually a barn burner of a fight. He's just been losing so much. Terrence McKinney, Tom Nolan, James Yontop in a very competitive fight. Chase Hooper, draw with Nazim Sadikov, which, to be fair, that's aging pretty well. I just think, again, even though Matheus Camilo isn't even that great of a grappler, he showed some skills against Gabe Green. Obviously got submitted in the second round there. That was after he gassed himself out by going for like a triangle choke for like 2.5 minutes. And then he kind of just gave up, kind of quit, gave up his back. His striking looks pretty competent on the feet. He's kind of a low kick, check hook merchant, Matheus Camilo. If you don't remember who Matheus Camilo, by the way, is, this is the guy that beat the one, I want to say was it Tajikistani guy at 308 that was like, "Then I'm undefeated fighter, sign me, brother." And then he fought in the Korean Zombies promotion and lost. This is the guy that beat him. His only weakness, Matheus Camilo, is submissions. And Viachslav Borschev has not a submission bone in his body. He just doesn't. So I'll pick Matheus Camilo over Viachslav Borschev. I think the grappling will play a factor in. I think he'll submit Viachslav Borschev or just ride him out to a decision. Pause, by the way. On the feet, it'll be competitive. Obviously, Viachslav has more combination work, but I think Matheus Camilo hits pretty hard, and he has really good low kicks. So Viachslav is going to lose, I guess. We move to Baisangur Susurkaev versus Eric McConico Jr. I'm going to pick Baisangur Susurkaev over Eric McConico Jr. very clearly here. I'll pick Baisangur by TKO. Eric McConico, he won his last fight against Cody Brundage, and I wasn't mad at that decision. I honestly was not mad at that decision. Cody Brundage he could have very easily won that fight, but he left it in the hands of the judges in a very competitive. Basically, the whole fight was for a couple minutes, McConico would win, and then Cody Brundage would have a big moment near the end of the round, or vice versa. Cody Brundage would win a majority of the round, and then Eric McConico would just kind of have halves of rounds, and it was very hard to determine who won those. In this fight, Eric McConico is going to be a lamb to the slaughter against Baisangur Susurkaev. Baisangur, teammate of Hamzat, really good grappler, really good striker. You look at the Contender Series performance, gets a body kick, TKO over some jacked dude. Eric McConico seemingly gets hurt in every fight he's in. I think this is prime for Baisangur to land some brutal low kicks as well. Eric McConico, a bit of a plotster, I'll be honest with you. And if the striking isn't really going his way, which I honestly don't see happening, I think Baisangur is way better than Eric McConico literally in every aspect of this fight. He can take him to the ground and submit him. So I'll pick Baisangur by TKO just because we've seen Eric McConico lose by TKO before. Obviously got shinned in his debut by Nursultan Ruziboev. I believe one of his other losses, all of his losses are by TKO, actually. So, yeah, I'm definitely picking Baisangur by TKO. Clinch work as well. Eric McConico finds himself in the clinch. I think Baisangur's got nasty elbows and knees in clinch scenarios as well. So I'll go Baisangur outright TKO in the first round. Lock it in. We move to Angela Hill versus Fatima Kline. I'm going to pick Fatima Kline over Angela Hill. I'll pick her by decision, I'll say. She could finish Angela Hill. I think Angela Hill is pretty durable, though, all things considered. You know, she's only been submitted in her career. Fatima Kline does have nasty ground and pound and grappling ability, but Angela Hill is pretty durable thus far in her career. Fatima Kline, in my opinion, has looked absolutely insane in the UFC outside of her debut against Jasmine Jasudavicius, which even then she had some solid moments in there, up a weight class on short notice against one of the biggest gals in that division. You could clearly see in that fight she was just out-strengthed by Jasmine, which, you know, most girls usually are, unless you're man and feel, or and you just knock her out. Fatima Kline against Victoria Dudakova and Melissa Martinez, that's who it was. Melissa Mullins is that even her name anymore? Is it Melissa Dixon or Melissa Mullins? I forget. God damn it. Anyways, skip that part. Angela Hill has just increasingly looked older and older and older and older and older. You know, Angela Hill is one of those fighters where she is still, like, good. You can clearly see that in WMMA she still has skills. She can give young prospects problems. You see her beat Denise Gomes. You see her beat Luana Pinheiro. You see her beat Ketlin Souza earlier this year. But I think that at a certain point, the dip off, like the trail off, it happens when you fight not just big power punchers like Denise Gomes a couple years back and Ketlin Souza of now. You fight actual technical strikers like a Fatima Kline. You know, Yasmin Lucinda's also very young, but she's also somewhat technical and can grapple a little bit. I think Fatima Kline has the perfect kind of skill set to beat Angela Hill when you really look at it. She's bigger than Angela Hill. She's quick for the division. She has good pop in her hands. She has good hand speed. She has good combination work. She sets things up pretty well. She pressures very well. She grapples pretty well. All signs lead to Fatima Kline easily beating Angela Hill. I think this is going to be a performance that will remind a lot of people of, like, Karolina Kowalkiewicz' downfall as of recent. Of course, she just got finished by, I forgot this girl's name in another video. God, what is her name? I already, leave it. Julia Pilastri, that's who it is. I didn't even look that one up, I promise. You didn't hear my mouse at all. I always forget her name. I always get her mixed up with Stephanie Luciano. Anyways, Fatima Kline, like I said, really good combination work. That head kick KO she set up against Melissa Martinez, insane. She beat the shit out of Victoria Dudakova, who up to that point in her career was, not bad. Her only loss in her career up to that point was Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes is pretty fucking legit. Like, she's not bad. She's probably one of the best unranked strawweights in the division. It's just when she, like, steps up against really, really high-level, gals, like Yasmin Howdagi, when you don't have a lot of pop in your hands, she's kind of a nightmare. But, yeah, Angela Hill, she's older. She's on the downturn. She's still winning a majority of her fights as of recent. She's 3-3 in her last 6. That's not bad for a 40-year-old woman. But I will say Fatima Kline has looked pretty good. I think Fatima Kline will win a decision. Outstrike, outgrapple, a lot of leg work, a lot of head kicks, setups, straight down the pipe shots, clinch exchanges, kind of wear down. Angela Hill's another person that also kind of, you can clearly see she's fading. Her arms get really low. She's breathing heavy. Her footwork isn't as good anymore. Fatima Kline looked pretty fucking good. So I'll go Fatima Kline over Angela Hill. Yeah. We move to Pat Sabatini versus Chepe Mariscal. Yet again, another short notice appearance. I'm going to pick Chepe Mariscal by TKO over Pat Sabatini. This one can be tricky, though, I will be honest. If there's a fight, I'm picking the underdog here, right, in Chepe Mariscal. I think there is some value to him, but it is a tricky fight. Pat Sabatini is very underratedly good. You look at his only losses, Diego Lopez, that's like, that's not even that bad. The Damon Jackson loss really irks me, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Pat Sabatini is pretty chinny. If you land a good flush punch on him, like one singular, like, actually good shot, He just beat Joe Anderson Brito, right? That's a crazy win. Joe Anderson just couldn't get any offense off because he was so scared of the takedown threat, and he kept getting taken down. Chepe Mariscal has got a 73% takedown defense, and he's a dog in his own right, and his stance kind of allows him to stuff takedowns. And the issue I have with this is Chepe Mariscal is usually the guy fighting for takedowns. In grappling exchanges, Chepe Mariscal makes people work so hard for positional dominance. Even when he's in the dominant position, he'll make people work to get back up hard. He'll do these gritty things, crafty crafties, covering the mouth, head pressure on your temple. He'll fucking knee you in the body. He'll marab you for a little bit, kind of chew toy you a little bit. And he's got great cardio to back it up. I know Chepe Mariscal didn't have the craziest performance last time out against, I want to say Ricardo Ramos, was it? He went to a decision with Ricardo Ramos, which I'm not the biggest fan of, on that Manel Kapasuo Mabayev card. You look at a lot of his other performances, though. Trevor Peek, he absolutely dog-walked Trevor Peek. Jack Jenkins, he was beating the shit out of Jack Jenkins. Morgan Charrier. Morgan's a good featherweight, man. He's pretty fucking good, and Chepe beat him. That was a close fight, but I understand a Chepe scorecard. He beat the shit out of Damon Jackson, and even though he went to a decision with Ricardo Ramos, which I'm not a fan of, he still kind of beat the shit out of Ricardo Ramos. Pat Sabatini, he needs back takes to work his games. He's not people will pull up a clip of him landing a single right hand on Diego Lopez and be like, dude, Pat Sabatini's striking's underrated, brah. It's serviceable, but I feel like Pat Sabatini's super open on the feet. He kind of Santiago Ponzinibbio maxes a little bit, where he exits exchanges with his arms kind of lower, where he when I say he airplanes out a little bit, I've said that a couple times in Santiago fights. He kind of does that, and I think Chepe Mariscal, a guy who's heavy on the pressure, against a guy who only really succeeds when he is the hammer. When you see Pat Sabatini become the nail, he becomes a humongous shell of himself. There's fighters who can take a beating a little bit, kind of weather an early storm. Chepe Mariscal can weather an early storm as well. And you look at Chepe's only losses, dude. This guy's last loss, I'm pretty sure, was, Sean Soriano's not great, but Steve Garcia, dude. Steve Garcia is a monster. Same with Joe Anderson Brito. I know Joe Anderson lost to Pat Sabatini, but that's just, it's different, styles make fights. You know what I mean? He also already has a win over Pat Sabatini. This is a rematch. Huh. So this is Pat Sabatini, Chepe Mariscal too. I didn't even realize that. He had a no contest with Carl Deaton III. That sucks. Anyways, so this is a rematch. I didn't even recognize that. So I'm very confident in my pick of Chepe Mariscal now. So picking Chepe Mariscal by decision, lock it in. We move to Kyle Daukaus versus Gerald Meerschaert. I'm picking Kyle Daukaus by first round TKO. Gerald, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I think he should have retired after the Michal Oleksiejczuk fight. He genuinely looked awful. I very rarely say that about fighters. You'll hear me, be brash, like this guy's garbage, this, that. Very rarely do I call performances utter smears on the sport. Gerald Meerschaert against Michal Oleksiejczuk might be pound for pound one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life. Genuinely terrible. Rewatch it. You're like, what the fuck is he doing? He's just he's walking around shooting takedowns from 15 feet away, getting stuffed, throwing nothing burgers of strikes on the feet, and then just gets KO'd. If Kyle Daukaus is able to knock out Michel Pereira, he should be able to knock out Gerald Meerschaert. If he doesn't and Gerald Meerschaert wins, this is going to be a rigged fight. All right? No, I'm playing. Kyle Daukaus, had a quick fight against Michel Pereira, had a really good regional, return after getting cut from the UFC. Kyle's pretty good, and he's a grappler in his own right. He's big for the division as well. He's a big guy. He's got decent cardio as well. It's usually guys the same size as Kyle Daukaus or humongous dudes that really do well against Kyle Daukaus, kind of muscly fellas. So I'll go with Kyle Daukaus over Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald, I don't know if he's got it anymore. He looks kind of senile out there. I'm going to be honest with you. It's kind of worrying to me. I think Kyle Daukaus knocks out Gerald Meerschaert. with a big old meaty hook. We move to Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Haddon. This is a tricky one. I'm gonna pick Malcolm. It's not that I'm not confident in Malcolm Wellmaker. My big issue is I feel like Malcolm has to win by first round KO. And I don't know if he gets that 100% of the time. Cody Haddon's very good. I really like Cody Haddon as a bantamweight prospect. If Cody Haddon was more active, I know he got injured. He was supposed to fight Toporia's brother, right? Alexandre Topuria in February on 312. That's why Colby Thickness stepped in on short notice. And this is also short notice for him too, Cody Haddon. He hasn't fought in over a year. Dude, if Cody Haddon was more active, I would probably pick him over Malcolm Wellmaker. Because he is I think he's pretty fucking good, you know. I think he's actually a really solid prospect. Had a really cool performance over Dan Argueta in the Apex fight. It should have been fight of the night, if I remember. No, because that was Roybal Tyra. That was a pretty sick fight. But it was a badass barn burner of, back and forth. Dan Argueta early on using his, strength and wrestling. As the fight goes on, he just starts gassing. Malcolm's really good, though. And Cody Haddon he's kind of a pressurer. He kind of likes to walk forward and kind of, not plod in because he's got good footwork, but he kind of enters in. And Malcolm is just so good at catching people when they're coming in. Pause. Like, he's very good at countering people when they're making their entrances. You know what I mean? Chris Moutinho, obviously terrible. He's not a good fighter. Debut Cameron Simon. It's like Cameron Simon was having some success. My thing is Malcolm's a big bantamweight. Like, he's a big dude for this bantamweight. He's 5'10". He's not small, and he's not like a frail fight. He's like, look at his chest. What bantamweight do you see having a chest like that? He's got moobs, bro. He's got man boobs. He's got fucking pecs on him. Cody Haddon's gonna be smaller, ring rust. He's gonna be coming off an injury. He is very good, and I think the grappling would be very interesting to see how Malcolm Wellmaker would deal with the grappling from Cody Haddon, who also has power in his hands too. He knocked out Billy Brand on the Contender Series, who fought Peyton Talbot very famously on the regional scene. I think Cody Haddon's really good, but I think Malcolm Wellmaker, I think this is just it's going to be one of those weird fights where they both become like super, solid contenders or prospects in their own right. And you look back and you're like, man, short notice might have killed the actual like essence of that fight, what it could have been. I think Cody Haddon's, he might not get a fully full version of himself performance here, and I think he might walk on to something, because Malcolm Wellmaker, he does swing for the fences sometimes, but he also sets it up decently well. The Chris Moutinho KO was set up pretty well. He goes to the body. He's a check right hook merchant, but man, it's cashing every single time so far. So who am I to fucking judge? I'll go Malcolm Wellmaker by KO. I would probably stay away from this fight though, value-wise. I don't know if I'd bet on this, because I could Cody could pull off a solid performance. He could. If he shows up the way that he has, he could definitely do some good work against Malcolm Wellmaker. My idea is I don't think he will, because of time off, injury, and just, the physical attributes I think are going to be a big detriment here. So I will go Malcolm Wellmaker over Cody Haddon by TKO. We move to Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. I'm going to pick Erin Blanchfield over Tracy Cortez. Why? Who knows? Who knows at this point? I feel like Tracy Cortez really has to use her grappling to win fights now. Against Viviane Araújo, she really had to get takedowns to even win that fight. To be fair, she's going to have the stand-up advantage here, but I feel like Erin, if Rose Namajunas is able to out-grapple you in the big 24, I know it was last year, and short notice, to be fair to Tracy, Erin's mad. probably going into this fight. She had a main event, contract made and had it pulled literally 2 minutes before the fight started. She's probably pissed going into a fight like this. She's going from Macy Barber, who's a very not deadly striker, but, she's pretty dangerous. She hits pretty hard, and she's a decent grappler as well, to Tracy Cortez, who may have, like, a similar grappling skill set, maybe not, but a way less dangerous striker. Tracy's, kind of slower. She's going to be better than Erin Blanchfield, do not get me wrong. But this is not going to be a fight where Erin Blanchfield's suffering from being small. And I like that, because that's something that Erin has struggled with in fight. Man and Fior, she struggled with. What's the one girl that fought Valentina? What was her name? The Brazilian girl. Her eye swelled up, dude. What was her name? It was in the UFC. Was it Shanghai? No, it wasn't Shanghai. It was what's her name? Tyla Santos. What card was that? Where was that at? Singapore. Holloway Zombie, yeah. Tyla Santos she's a kind of a bigger gal for the division, and that's a fight that Erin Blanchfield also struggled with. Tracy's not that big, and she's more of a grappler than anything. I feel like I think Erin can out-grapple her. Shoot me. Shoot me if you think I'm wrong. I think she can out-grapple Tracy Cortez. I think she's a better wrestler, and she's better in dominant positions. That's really about it. On the feet, Tracy will have a better advantage. She has better combination work with straight punches. In the grappling, which Tracy Cortez seemingly goes to a lot, you look back at her fight with Jasmine Jasudavicius, who's also a big lady, but also is very slow and older. Erin can only improve, in my opinion. Tracy's similar, but I think Erin has more room for improvement in her own right. So I'll go Erin Blanchfield by split decision. We move to Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodrigues. I'm going to pick RoboCop. And I'm going to pick him by TKO in either round 1 or round 2. This is... Because I really like Roman Kopylov, and I think a lot of you guys know that. I cannot, with full, looking at, the Paulo Costa performance, be like, yeah, he's going to do well against RoboCop literally in his next fight after getting pummeled by fucking Paulo Costa. You know what I mean? Obviously, I think Roman Kopylov can have success. You look at what Jack Hermanson was able to do to Gregory Rodrigues in 3 minutes with just jabs. He bloodied his whole fucking face up. I think Roman Kopylov is way too hittable. And he shows a lot of damage, too. That's something people don't bring up when they talk about Roman Kopylov. He shows damage very easily. I don't know how the game is going to work when I just saw him get bullied for 3 rounds against Paulo Costa. I know Paulo Costa is very durable, and RoboCop is chinny. Do not get me wrong. I do understand. RoboCop can get knocked out. 4 of his 6 losses are by knockout. I think he's going to be pressuring the fuck out of Roman. I think he's going to give Roman no space to work in this fight. I don't think he's going to allow him to get anything off. I think he's going to try and grapple him too. I think he's going to use his body to wear down on Roman Kopylov. You look at, what, Hernandez was able to do, and to be fair, Gregory clearly does not have the cardio of Anthony Hernandez. And Roman is pretty good takedown defense-wise. My big issue is he's never really faced a big grappler, like a guy the size of fucking RoboCop. You know what I mean? You look at the size of this fucking dude. How is he making middleweight, bud? How is that happening, bud? We got 5 more minutes, bud. 5 more minutes, Shug. I don't know. I feel like Roman Kopylov, especially after a fight like the Paulo Costa one, where he did just get fucking bullied for 3 straight rounds, gonna go into a fight with an even bigger guy and be like, oh yeah, I got this one in the bag. There's going to be lingering thoughts in the back of his head of the Paulo Costa performance, of him getting dropped hard as shit. And RoboCop just hits different. He just does. And it's a lot of straight shots, too. That's the thing. It's usually the straight shots that get to Roman Kopylov. To be fair, Roman Kopylov is very fast, and he's very quick as well. You look at the Cesar Almeida drop that he had. I think Roman Kopylov's cardio has really kind of disappointed me in the past. And I don't know if I can predict him by first round KO or to win across the distance, because I think they're going to slow down at about the same rate, which I don't like at all. I'll pick a Gregory Rodrigues by KO. Roman can pull it off. Don't get me wrong. Just based off Gregory being chinny. He does have a very suspect chin. I will pick Gregory Rodrigues in the first or second round by knockout, though. I think the size and power of the sheer just the size difference in this fight is going to play a shit ton into the outcome. And Roman, he's not going to be able to work his kicks as often as he'd like, because I don't think Gregory's going to give him a lot of space. I think he's going to use his size to walk him down, pressure him to the fence, kind of just walk him down, not chase, kind of cut off the cage, kind of walk him down, corner him a little bit, make him scared. Put, back a dog into a corner. The only thing it's going to be able to do is bark at you, bite you. Gregory can time a shot on him. So I'll go Gregory Rodrigues over Roman Kopylov. We move to the featured prelim, Bo Nickal versus Rodolfo Vieira. They listen to me, fellas. Bo Nickal's not on the main card. I'm picking Bo Nickal by decision over Rodolfo Vieira. I think this is going to be a competitive fight. Weirdly enough, if Bo Nickal wasn't trying to take down, Paul Craig, I don't know if he's going to try and take down Rodolfo Vieira all that much. On the feet, I think it's going to look a lot like the Paul Craig fight, honestly. I think it's going to be Bo Nickal kind of hesitant to shoot because of the BJJ on the table from his opponent, strike with him, land seemingly bigger shots, land a couple overhands here and there, while Rodolfo's just spamming jabs and ones and twos. And I think the judges are going to favor what Bo is doing more than Rodolfo Vieira. I think it's going to be kind of a boring fight, kind of lackluster, kind of like just another Bo Nickal performance. You know what I mean? Can I just say that? Just another Bo Nickal performance where he underdelivers what everyone thinks he's going to do. But yeah, I think that Bo Nickal, this is a huge step down in competition from Rene de Ridder. Way smaller. BJJ is still very prevalent in this matchup. Rodolfo Vieira, really good BJJ black belt. Obviously, the black belt hunter is his nickname. He's got a crazy background in, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is getting up there. He is slower. He did lose in a striking fight to Andrei Petroski. So, I think Bo Nickal is hear me out, I think he may or may not be a better striker than Andrei Petroski. Maybe. What do we think about that, fellas? They're kind of close. I think Bo Nickal's more, he can turn over a punch better than Petroski can. So, I'll pick Bo Nickal by decision over Rodolfo Vieira. And then he'll give a shitty post-fight interview. He marries, he marries. We move to the start of the main card. Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm going to pick Beneil Dariush as an underdog here. I could be very wrong. Benoit could win by, first round KO. I think Beneil out-grapples Benoit to a decision. I don't know if that's, crazy for me to say that or not. I think Benoit as a defensive grappler is kind of garbage in a way. He very easily will give up dominant position, and I think Beneil Dariush is a way better scrambler than other fighters that he's fought. Benoit has been taken down by Moicano, and Matt Frivola was able to take him down in moments as well. You look, even though that fight was a minute long, Matt Frivola took him down twice. But Benoit was able to create a scramble. Matt Frivola's dog shit when it comes to scramble. Not dog shit, but comparatively to Beneil Dariush, he is not even in the same realm of scramble-esque grapplers. And Benoit, he's very powerful on the feet. He's also very dumb and very hittable. And I know Beneil's chinny. You see him getting dropped in, most fights he's in, to be honest. he did have a decent performance against Renato Moicano in the grappling. He completely smothered him whenever it got to the ground. Like, Renato had no idea what to do to get back to his feet. And Renato made Benoit Saint-Denis look like a fucking amateur in the grappling realm in their fight. He literally did. It was one of the most dominant first rounds we've seen ever, honestly. And I know Beneil might not be able to get off as much damage as, what Renato was, because Hanato's more of a ground and pound guy. Beneil's more control with minimal, there we go, ground and pound to kind of just maintain position. I think this fight, it's either, Benoit gets a crazy finish or Beneil kind of smothers him. And on the feet, Beneil's not bad. He does have quite a bit of output, a lot of kicks, but he's also pretty heavy-handed as well. He's got kind of bricks for hands. And Benoit has been hit. He takes a lot of damage. He gets hurt by, like, the 3 strikes that Rufi landed on Benoit Saint-Denis seemingly hurt him. So I will look at that and be like, and that was a great performance from Benoit Saint-Denis, to be fair. The Rufi performance was very good, but Rufi's not even close to Beneil grappling-wise, especially defensively. Beneil is a really good grappler and defensive wrestler in this division. I think in the grappling realm, Beneil will be able to smother him, and Benoit is going to kind of just even catch wrestling, I think, favors Beneil Dariush, which is what Moicano did very well, was time catches on Benoit, because Benoit throws a lot of kicks, and he throws a lot of hooks, which leaves his hips so wide open for double legs and single legs. It's crazy to me. So I will go Beneil Dariush over Benoit Saint-Denis just by grappling technique. Benoit could win just because this is an older Beneil Dariush, but I think Benny still has it in his back pocket to pull out a crafty-ass performance. So I'll go Beneil Dariush. We move to Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. I'm going to pick Carlos over Leon, and this is a fight that I've been very iffy on. But I'm going to lean with Carlos Prates, because here's the thing. I know what to expect out of Carlos Prates. I know what performance he's going to try and do. With Leon, at this point in his career, you cannot, say what he's going to do to a T. You just can't. You have no idea what Leon is. He's so unpredictable as of now with his performances, and I'm just so... I don't think he's all mentally there anymore. I think he's very in his own head in a lot of things. You look at, the Sean Brady fight. On the feet, Sean is tagging Leon up. And I know that's because of the threat of the takedown, and there's going to be none of that whatsoever in this fight. Honestly, I could see Leon very, very easily trying to get this fight to the ground, especially if things aren't going his way on the feet. But my issue is, if Carlos lands that shot, if he lands something like you look at Nate Diaz round 5, if Carlos lands something even remotely close to that on Leon Edwards, Leon is going unconscious. If he lands something that Brian Barberena landed in round 3 as well, I believe, and drops him with the uppercut, right, where he kind of goes all jello-legged, that's not good. Bilal Muhammad hurts him on the feet as well. Leon's chin is very, not suspect. He's never been knocked out, obviously. That's never happened. He's been hurt on multiple occasions, though. It's like Jared Cannonier in a way at middleweight, where you see all these instances of him being hurt, but it's like he never gets finished. At a certain point, those guys get finished. I think this is going to be one of those instances where a guy who a lot of people credit as this insanely good striker, I've been a victim of this, where I kind of overrate his striking. Leon is very textbook when it comes to a lot of his, his jab is really on point. He's got a really good 1-2. He's got really good rear side kicks. Obviously, the head kick. Rest in peace, my boy, Kamaru Usman. But that's besides the point. Kamaru beats him in a rematch. Come on, what are we talking about? In a quadrilogy, he beats him. Come on, what are you talking about? No, I'm playing. And that's why I'm so irked about this fight, is because if Leon does what Ian Gary did for 3 rounds. In the first 3 rounds, Ian Gary very easily beat Carlos Prates in the striking exchanges just by kicking a lot. If he kicks a lot, and he does what Ian did, kind of stay on the outside, kick a lot, stay on the outside, kick, kind of play with the hands, kick. Leon doesn't do that. Leon is very low output, doesn't throw a shit ton out there. He's very kind of set, kind of paw a little bit, feint a lot, throw one thing, back up, kind of try and stay on his edges, kind of wait for something. Ian Gary was throwing a lot, which is why he ended up gassing himself out, and Carlos ended up winning rounds 4 and 5. Carlos is going to have the volume advantage in this fight. Carlos, early on, I think it's going to be kind of slow at the start, kind of similar outputs. Carlos is going to be trying to feel his things out, trying to find his left side weapons, his left knee, his left head kick, that sort of thing, trying to find those, his left straight. But that's my thing, is like the straight shots of Carlos Prates are he has very good accuracy. He's a very accurate striker when he throws. Similar with Leon. Leon can be very accurate, but it's just like one of those things where the downside of Leon Edwards is he hasn't shown that to me in forever. Even against Colby, he didn't really look that great. He easily won 49-46, but he didn't really do anything all that impressive. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't really do anything all that crazy. He hasn't had a performance that really shocked me since he beat Kamaru Usman, which was fucking ages ago. That was 2 years ago, over 2 years ago. So I can't look at that and be like, yeah, he's going to pull something like that out of his pocket again. I don't think so. I think Leon Edwards is so in his own head, he's going to hesitate on the feet. If he gets touched by something by Carlos Prates, he's going to look to shoot. Carlos has really solid takedown defense. We've seen that. That's one of the prime things he's been working on, is his takedown defense. Against Ian Gary, I know he got taken down twice. Rounds 4 and 5, he was pretty fucking clean when it came to takedown defense. He's got really good instincts. He's got really good hips, sprawls really well. Single legs, he's really good when it comes to, balancing himself. I think Carlos is really solid. It's just the Ian Gary performance was very iffy, very, lights are bright kind of situation. Not first main event, obviously, main event against Neil Magny, but it's the difference between Neil and fucking Ian Gary. I think Leon's kind of fading at this point. He's older as well. He's had 2 brutal losses back-to-back. Not brutal in the fact that he got fucking beat up, like he got insane damage done to him, but he had very little success in both of those fights, and that's very mentally taxing. If you went from one of the best in the sport, what most thought, to, oh, you're an underdog against Carlos Prates, who debuted literally last year. So I think mentally Leon is going to fade in this fight as well. If Carlos starts landing, he's going to start shelling up, kind of allowing things to happen. He allows himself to get pressured sometimes. Carlos is very good at intermediate pressure, where he's not right on you, but he's the one that's pushing you backwards, and you can't hit him, he can't hit you, but when he goes, he's landing. When you're going, he's stepping out of range. The body work as well from Carlos, I think it will serve him well. I think Carlos Prates TKOs Leon Edwards in rounds 2 and 3. Rounds 2 or 3, I think Carlos knocks him out. I think we're going to see a vicious KO on this fight. I think Carlos wins. I think he'll look good doing it too. We move to the featured fight, Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. I'm gonna fucking take a chance here. I'm gonna pick Michael Morales by knockout in round 3 over Sean Brady. I think we're gonna get a little bit of a JDM Gilbert Burns situation here. I think Sean Brady on the feet is going to have very, very little success against Michael Morales just because of range. Michael is a very tall, not very tall, but he's taller than Sean Brady, and he's very, rangy for this. You look at the difference in arm length. Look at the difference here. Look at the difference in their forearms. Look at that. Look how weird that looks. Michael is a very young, athletic, very powerful striker who we've seen has 3-round cardio. He can go 3 rounds. He's coming off his best performance of his career against Gilbert Burns, albeit washed Gilbert Burns. Nothing really to, like, look at there, but he did what you should do against Gilbert Burns at that point in his career. He did what you should be doing if you are Michael Morales, and you are as good as we think you are. That's the difference. If Michael would have taken Gilbert to rounds 2, maybe even a third round, as seen as who he is, I would be cause for concern, and I'd probably pick Sean Brady. But he dusted him in round 1, made it look very simple, and made him shell up. And Sean Brady, when he gets hit with something, he kind of just backs up and shells up. And in the first round, I could pick him by first round TKO, to be fair. It's either first or third, in my opinion, for Michael. I think round 2 is maybe a little iffy. Round 1, Sean Brady's takedown attempts are kind of shitty. You look back at the Kelvin Gastelum performance, he is, like, very nervously shooting for takedowns. And that's Kelvin fucking Gastelum. Leon Edwards struck with him for a little bit, got a takedown near the end of the first round, kind of dominated him. I think Leon's very in his head, though. Michael Morales, at this point in his career, he is so of the essence that I am the best in the world. He has no reason to doubt himself. No reason. Maybe that could creep in this fight, which could end up being his downfall, maybe allowing positions to settle. I think Michael's got decent scrambles of his own as well. I know he got taken down, Neil Magny had him against the fence for a little bit, which is something I worried about picking in that fight. If you go back to that picks and breakdown video for Bahalio Cannonier, when that fight happened, I was like, I kind of worry, and that was same with the Neil Magny versus Carlos Prates. Neil's very good in the clinch. He's got really good clinch work where he kind of is able to hold people there and maintain people. Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos, Jake Matheus, he showed that very good in those 2 fights as well. Michael, again, knocked him out in the first round. Did it better. Did it quicker than Carlos did. I think we can just say that. Flat out. I've said on record, I think Michael is a better prospect than Carlos Prates. I think this fight's going to prove that. I think Michael beats Sean Brady, and I think he does it by KO. I think he does it in insane fashion. Insanely athletic, knees up the middle. He's got good uppercuts, good boxing combinations. I think he's going to be very hard to take down just because of his stance. I think the single leg Sean Brady's going to think is going to be there. I think Michael Morales has really good hips. I think he's got really good hips on him for takedown defense when he's expecting it. There is nothing he can expect less from Sean Brady than a takedown. There's the only thing he's going to expect from Sean Brady is the takedown. Sean Brady's striking isn't bad, but I think the range, he's going to really struggle. Leon Edwards, he can get on the inside of pocket exchanges with Leon because Leon has kind of shorter arms. He's taller. He's about as tall as Michael Morales. I think he's actually taller, technically. But he's got really, his arms are not all that long. And that's another reason why I'm picking Carlos over Leon is just the range. I think Leon's got, less range to work with than Carlos does. And I think the range is going to really fuck with Sean Brady in this fight, who we saw get broken by combinations by Belal. I know that was so long ago, and it's kind of bullshit I'm bringing it up. 2022, I know that was forever ago. But, his Gilbert Burns performance, like I've said before, that's the reason why I picked him to lose against Leon, was I wasn't all that impressed with his Gilbert Burns performance. It was good, very dominant, won all 5 rounds, but I would have liked to see him finish Gilbert Burns, a very clearly not all there Gilbert Burns, and he wasn't able to do that. Finishes Leon Edwards, great to you. Great to you. Yet again, another very mentally broken fighter. He's going in there against a guy who thinks he's literally the best in the world, in Michael Morales. Has no reason to doubt himself. I think Michael Morales, with his size, his frame, his power, against Sean Brady, who is, even though he's, serviceable on the feet, at the end of the day, is just a grappler. Michael has an 89% takedown defense, one of the best in welterweight history. He's going to go in there and try and out-grapple this guy. I think Michael Morales is going to show improvement in his grappling in this fight. I think he's going to TKO Sean Brady in this fight. I can very clearly see that happening. Just Sean Brady, maybe Onk versus Paella kind of thing, where Michael pressures Sean Brady, which is something that Michael does like to do, is pressure himself. But he's not standing right up. He's lower, and he doesn't overextend most of the time. He's very sharp with his striking choice. He's got very good punch choice. He chooses his punches very well at the end of the day. He's not going to OE super incredibly hard and, throw himself into a fucking double leg. At least in my opinion, I don't think he does. If he does, he does. But I think Sean Brady's going to just get caught. I think it's going to be one of those things where maybe things are going very well for Sean and then he gets caught and then it's like, well, it was just like he got caught by a punch. But I think against Michael Morales, it's just going to be something that we see throughout his career. I don't know if Michael becomes champion. I don't know if he does. But I think he's going to be a main staple in the top 5 for a long time. I think he's going to be one of those dudes who kind of just is always there. Is always there for most of his career. I think this is going to be a performance that really, it's going to Pedro Munoz max him. Pedro was in the rankings for like 8 years because he knocked out Cody Garbrandt. Michael, I think, is going to get a huge bump up just because he knocks out Sean Brady in his career. So I will go Michael Morales by knockout over Sean Brady. Is it a fluke? Who knows? I'm picking Michael Morales. We move to the co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. I'm picking Zhang Weili by decision over Valentina Shevchenko. I think Zhang has just shown way more in her recent performances. Very clearly, in my opinion, than Valentina has. Even though Valentina's got crazy custom shorts, custom kit. Obviously, Zhang Weili, UFC hasn't updated it yet. I think Zhang, even though she's going to be, a little bit smaller than Valentina, that's just how it's going to be. The leg reach difference is going to be kind of crazy in this fight. So I worry maybe about body kicks from Valentina Shevchenko. I think Zhang can very easily implement her style of pressuring Valentina. And Valentina has been trying to grapple through a lot of her fights. That's been like her main way to get wins, is by slightly outstriking people and out-grappling them. She's not going to be able to out-grapple Zhang Weili, in my opinion. I think Zhang Weili, if this fight does get to grappling, I think Zhang Weili with lighter woman skill will be able to out-grapple Valentina Shevchenko, in my opinion. And it's not like we'll get to the main event prediction, obviously, because obviously not all the time that's going to work. But Zhang has shown it very easily to be able to out-grapple insanely good grapplers in her division. Like very high-level gals in that division she's easily working on the ground and on the feet. And I think Zhang hits harder than Valentina, in my opinion. I think she hits way harder. Valentina is very peppery. Zhang puts it on motherfuckers. Alright? She really does. When you watch her fight, she really punches through her opponents. Just fucking right through them motherfuckers. And Valentina, she's going to try and work her jittery style where she's, slightly bobbing up and down, jab, bobbing up and down, body kick, leg kick, kind of just trying to do that. I think Zhang's going to force her back. I think Zhang's going to make her, walk backwards. And she's very, got good head movement, kind of. I think she's just better, man. I don't really know, how to explain it other than that. I just think she's a little bit better than Valentina at this point in their respective careers. If this fight would have happened earlier, I'd feel even more confident about picking Zhang Weili, in my opinion. I thought Valentina lost against Manon Fiorot, in my opinion. I thought that was a very competitive fight. I thought you could very easily give that to Manon Fiorot, in my opinion. I thought they were going to give it to Manon, and I was like, God damn it, the one time I picked Valentina, she fucking lose, God fucking damn it. But she won. She got the decision. Alexa Grasso 3. Boring-ass performance. Dud. Straight up dud. Did absolutely nothing in that fight. She dropped Manon, took her down a couple times. Very competitive on the feet. I know Manon's pretty good. I think Zhang's just on a different level, in my opinion. I think she beats Valentina. I think it'll be, obviously competitive. I think there will be very close rounds. I think it's going to be a 48-47 split decision sort of thing, where it's a huge legacy fight, obviously, for both. I think Zhang on the feet hits harder. I think she might have maybe a little less output, but I think all in all, her shots, her investments are going to be better than Valentina's. And I think in the grappling, I think she's pretty strong. She's a very strong little ball of muscle. And Valentina, we've seen her get out-grappled in moments. Tyler Santos was able to out-grapple her pretty bad in the first couple rounds there. Same with Alexa Grasso. It had very big moments in those fights. I don't know. I think Valentina's slowing down and fading a little bit. So I will pick Zhang Weili over Valentina Shevchenko by decision. I think we see Anu at UFC at women's flyweight division. I think we'll see Zhang Weili cement herself as probably the second best female fighter of all time, in my opinion. I think if she beats Valentina, I think that's a very easily a case you could make. So I will go Zhang Weili over Valentina Shevchenko. We move to the main event. Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. And still, baby, I'm picking Jack Della Maddalena over Islam Makhachev. I think he TKOs Islam in round 3 or 4, in my opinion. I think it's going to be... He could do it early, to be fair, but I think it's going to be one of those pile-on of damage. I think Jack Della really attacks every story of a person. All three stories. Head, body, and legs. He's got really solid timing on low kicks. Again, it's one of those things where Jack can fight out of both stances as well. Islam, southpaw. So he can go southpaw Jack and low kick the outside or go inside with he did it very well against Belal Muhammad. Islam, the only thing I really worry about when picking Jack in this fight is really the head kick of Islam and the darce of Islam. Both have been things that have worked well against Jack Della. Of course, he got caught in a darce by Ramazan Emeev. Besides that, he won that fight pretty clearly. And the head kick. Belal was so close to timing a shit ton of head kicks on Jack Della Maddalena because Jack, even though his head movement is very good for boxing and, punches coming his way, for kicks, and also defending takedowns, that's something he does very well is, head-hand defense when it comes to takedown defense, where he kind of ducks when people throw, because when he was doing that against Belal, he would jab a lot, and he was seeing that Belal was going to try and time a takedown under one of his jabs, try and, catch him when he's overextending and kind of catch him when his head's over, in front of his hips, but even then he can sprawl pretty well, but he kind of would jab and then duck under. Jack moves his head a lot, even intermediately when nothing's happened, kind of in between, exchanges, he kind of is just shifting around. Belal was very close to timing some head kicks on those exchanges. Islam is very good when it comes to timing head kicks, so I kind of worry about that. But I think the pocket is going to be super open for Jack Della Maddalena against a guy like Islam Makhachev, who, if you watch his fights, will kind of blindly and aimlessly enter the pocket, because Islam's kind of a guy that will stay on the back foot, kind of paw a little bit, kind of kick at range, and then he'll kind of just rush in whenever he's not shooting a takedown and he's entering the pocket. He kind of waltzes in and kind of drops his hands whenever he's throwing punches. He'll kind of duck and throw a wild-ass overhand. I think Jack can catch him coming in with some body shots and some not straights, but hooks on the entrance. I mean, Moicano almost timed a fucking hook. It was an off-balancing shot from him, to be fair. I mean, it was Islam kind of losing his balance. But that's just something, is like Islam does still, make these goofy little mistakes. You know what I mean? I don't think he can do that against Jack Della Maddalena, who is a sharpshooter on the feet and also isn't just a boxer. He does throw a lot of kicks, a lot of teeps up the middle, a lot of low kicks, a lot of head kicks, lead side head kicks at that when he's in southpaw. I'm seeing this. Islam's going to be smaller than him. I know he gained a lot of weight. I know he put on some muscle. Not a lot of weight, but, he gained some muscle, to be fair to him, to make 170, healthily without being completely undersized. I think Jack's going to ping his head around a little bit. And the takedowns do worry me because Jack, of course, the darce is always going to be there for Islam. It's always going to be there. But Jack, working with Craig Jones, working with Volkanovski, a guy who has fought Islam. They've had 2 decorated fight camps for this fucking guy. Jack's shown pretty good instincts when it comes to scrambles and when it comes to takedown defense.
Mate, I think Jack gets him out of there in round 4, mate.
I think he gets him out of there. And I think it's going to be the body work. Because that's something Dustin did somewhat well, was go to the body against Islam. And that's something Jack does incredibly well, is investment shots. He's very good when it comes to his investments. That's something that paid off really well in the Belal Muhammad fight. Belal has some of the craziest cardio at welterweight we've ever seen. And Jack very easily ticked it down a notch just by keeping the body, throwing straight shots at the body, taking out the legs, going to the body. And then, since he's going to the body so much, they worry about the straight down the body. They don't expect him to duck down and then throw straight at the head. Jack Della Maddalena is so fucking awesome to watch whenever you're watching tape on him. It is so incredible to watch tape on this fucking guy. I love Jack Della Maddalena. Anyways, I think Jack's going to be too big. I think he's going to have too good of a game plan, because that's the thing with these Aussies. They train specifics. They train specifics, bruv. So, not bruv. They don't fucking specifics, mate. So, Islam is very good. I'm not doubting Islam. I just think Jack Della is that good that he can actually work around the incredible skill set that Islam Makhachev, possesses. Like I said, the head kick and darts I'm really worried about. And even then, Islam's got good straight shots. Jack Della, he got lazy in moments against Beneil where he was getting tagged over the top with straight right hands. Islam, of course, he would be straight lefts. But he's durable. Jack's very durable. And Islam shows a lot of damage. And in a fight that I think will go late, maybe even to a decision, who knows? Because Islam has shown pretty good durability this late in his career. He shows a lot of damage, though. Cuts open, swells a lot. Jack really only swells. He doesn't bleed a whole lot. He's a sweller. He swells a shit ton. Islam swells and bleeds. I don't really like that. Going life and death with Dustin Poirier, albeit at lightweight, albeit huge weight cut, albeit, staff, bad weight cut, whatever you want to say. Still doing that. Holloway just made Dustin look like a fool for the better part of 5 rounds. Islam, I get it. He won clearly 3. You could even say he won all 4 rounds up to that point. I think he very clearly won 3. One of them, was it round 2 or was it 3? I forget. Was kind of close. Islam, I think he gets in his own head sometimes as well, Volk gets dropped, doesn't even try and fight back to his feet, does Islam. Kind of allows position in round 5. If Volk is doing as good of work as he is in the pocket, I know Volk is an incredible striker, incredible kickboxer, but I think Jack does similar things with the timing. Jack isn't even that incredibly quick with his combinations. He is very fast. It's his offbeat timing. He's very awkward with the timing of his entrances for his combinations. I think Islam's going to struggle a lot when it comes to those situations. And awareness to do what's next, know what's coming next. When Jack rips combinations, he lands a lot. And Islam, he doesn't move his head all that much. He does move it somewhat, but he's more of a footwork kind of guy. Jack has footwork and head movement. He has both of them. That's very credible when it comes to a matchup like this against Islam Makhachev, who, when he enters in, he'll dip and this, that, but his head stays whenever he's like straight up. When he's not ducking, when he's, just his head, it's on the center line, just right there to get fucking hit. I'm picking Jack Della Maddalena to TKO Islam Makhachev. I think it'll be a great fight, too. I hope it does. I hope it's not anticlimactic. That would fucking suck, in my opinion. I think Jack gets it done. I think he gets it done pretty well as well. I think he has a very solid performance over Islam Makhachev. And still, baby. And still. I'm UFC Thoughts. These have been my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC 322. Della Maddalena versus Makhachev on November 15th, 2025. My confident picks reside with Baisangur, Susurkaev, Nickal, and Carlos Prates. A little bit of brain fart there. My pre-card rating for this card is a 10 out of fucking 10. This is a brilliant card, top to bottom. Great prelims, a lot of finishing potential on the prelims. Main card has a lot of finishing potential as well, littered throughout. I think the main event is probably the best main event of the year, if I'm being honest with you, in a year that we've had fucking DDP Strickland 2, in a year that we've had fucking Volk versus Lopez, in a year we've had fucking Della Maddalena fucking Bilal Muhammad, in a year we've had Khamzat DDP. I think this stands out as the most prominent main event of them all. One of the most legacy-defining fights with Jack Della Maddalena taking on Islam Makhachev. I think it's got a lot of stuff written around it, a lot of build-up, a lot of hype. I think it's going to be a damn good fight, too. Main card, one of the best main cards we've seen in years. Honestly, I love every single fight on the main card. I think it all has potential to end in a finish. I think it all has potential to be good fights. And the prelims are pretty good as well. Complimentary prelims for free. In Madison Square Garden, do it up. Madison Square Garden has gotten some pretty mediocre cards as of recent, but I think this one will stand out above the rest. That's the video. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. Leave a comment down below what you guys want to see next. Do you agree with my picks? Who are you picking in the main event of Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev? I will see you guys after the fights. Peace.